Andrea Pirlo's free transfer from AC Milan to Juventus in the summer of 2011 is often considered one of the most remarkable and, in many ways, the greatest free transfer in football history. The move came after Pirlo's contract with Milan expired, and the club, despite his considerable talent, chose not to renew it. This decision, on the surface, seemed to be a poor reflection of Milan's fading confidence in a player who had been instrumental in their success for nearly a decade. However, it proved to be a masterstroke for Juventus, who swiftly swooped in to sign the Italian midfield maestro without paying a transfer fee, an acquisition that would reshape the landscape of Italian football. The reasons behind Milan's decision to let Pirlo go were multifaceted. First, the club was undergoing a period of transition, both in terms of squad age and playing style. Milan's management, under then CEO Adriano Galliani, was making moves to rejuvenate the squad, particularly with a focus on younger, more dynamic players. Pirlo, who was 32 at the time, was seen as a player whose best years might be behind him, especially with the emergence of younger midfielders like Kevin Prince Boateng. Additionally, Milan had already invested in a deep midfield with players like Massimo Ambrosini and Clarence Seedorf, and there was a belief that Pirlo's physical decline would limit his effectiveness, particularly in a more demanding, high-tempo role. Another reason for Pirlo's exit was a strained relationship with Milan's then-coach, Leonardo. Pirlo had been a central figure in Milan's midfield for years, but under Leonardo, he found himself relegated to a more peripheral role at times, despite still being capable of extraordinary performances. There were also tactical reasons at play. Milan's changing formation and style of play under Leonardo required a more physical, dynamic midfield, something that Pirlo, a playmaker whose best asset was his vision and passing range, could not always provide in the high-energy setup Milan sought to implement. On the other hand, Juventus, under new manager Antonio Conte, had an immediate need for a player like Pirlo to spearhead their midfield. Juventus had finished a disappointing 7th in Serie A the previous season, and the club was undergoing a revival under Conte, who had a clear vision of a tactical system built on solid, disciplined defending and creative playmaking in midfield. Conte recognized that Pirlo's unique qualities, his ability to control the tempo of the game, his exquisite passing range, and his leadership on the pitch, would provide the platform for a new era of success for the Bianconeri. Pirlo's move to Juventus is notable not only for the quality of the player involved but also for the transformation it sparked. Pirlo arrived at Juventus on a free transfer, a move that many initially underestimated, as his years at Milan had led to the belief that his best years were behind him. However, Pirlo would go on to be the linchpin of a Juventus midfield that dominated Serie A for years. His vision, technique, and ability to dictate play were unmatched, and Juventus thrived in a system that maximized his strengths. In his first season with the club, Pirlo was instrumental in Juventus winning the 2011-12 Serie A title, finishing the season undefeated and with the league's best defensive and offensive record. Pirlo's partnership with Claudio Marchisio and Arturo Vidal became one of the most effective midfield trios in Europe, and his passing range from deep positions brought out the best in his teammates. The success continued in subsequent seasons. Pirlo played a crucial role in Juventus's continued dominance of Serie A, helping the club to win 9 consecutive league titles between 2012 and 2020. His consistency and performances in crucial matches, particularly in the Champions League, cemented his legacy as one of the greatest midfielders of his generation. The free transfer not only represented extraordinary value for money, it demonstrated how Juventus had astutely identified and acquired a player whose impact transcended mere statistics. Why is this transfer regarded as the greatest free transfer in football history? The answer lies in the sheer quality of the player, the way the transfer reshaped Juventus's fortunes, and the broader impact on Italian football. Pirlo's influence at Juventus was akin to the kind of signing that could turn a club's fortunes in an instant. With Pirlo pulling the strings in midfield, Juventus was able to build a side that not only dominated Serie A, but also became a force in European football. The signing was also a clear statement of intent from Juventus, as they were emerging from a period of decline and looking to return to the top of Italian and European football. At the time, Pirlo was already a decorated player with multiple Serie A titles, Champions League victories, and a World Cup under his belt. While Milan's decision to let him go might have been seen as a product of the club's internal transition, it was also a sign of the evolving financial and tactical strategies in Italian football, where player contracts were increasingly influenced by age, wage demands, and the shift toward a more youthful, athletic style of play. At Milan, Pirlo had been a cornerstone of the team's midfield for years, playing a key role in their successes in the early 2000s, notably during their Champions League winning campaigns. However, the changing dynamics at Milan were not isolated from the wider trends in Italian football. The club was beginning to prioritize financial sustainability, and this often meant balancing the books by reducing player wages, especially for those who were nearing the end of their careers. In this light, Pirlo's departure wasn't just a tactical decision. It was a reflection of a wider issue within Italian football, an over-reliance on veteran players and a growing unwillingness from top clubs to keep older stars if their performances weren't matching their wages. Meanwhile, Juventus, who were navigating a rebuilding phase after a disappointing spell post-Calciopoli, were in a position to capitalize on the situation. Under the guidance of Antonio Conte, Juventus had started to re-establish themselves as a dominant force in Italy, and Pirlo's signing represented a decisive step toward reclaiming their status at the top of Serie A. The fact that Juventus secured Pirlo without spending a transfer fee was not just a stroke of luck, but a testament to their long-term vision. The club recognized the potential of a player whose technical and cerebral qualities could bridge the gap between their defensive solidity and attacking ambitions. Pirlo's ability to orchestrate the game from deep positions, particularly his long passes and his ability to control tempo, was something that Juventus was sorely missing. Their midfield before Pirlo had lacked a true playmaker who could dictate the rhythm of the game. Pirlo not only filled that void, but did so with the kind of finesse and expertise that made him a standout in Italy and across Europe. His addition to the squad was not just a tactical shift, but a philosophical one, aligning with Conte's desire to play attractive, possession-based football, but with a firm defensive foundation. Finally, Pirlo's free transfer represents an anomaly in modern football. While the sport is increasingly driven by astronomical transfer fees, Pirlo's move highlights the fact that sometimes experience and footballing intelligence can be undervalued in the market. Despite his age and the growing focus on youthful athleticism, Pirlo's quality was undeniable, and Juventus seized an opportunity that many other top clubs failed to recognize. His arrival on a free transfer also sparked further debates about how top clubs could use the transfer market more strategically, particularly in acquiring players who might not be in their prime, but whose influence could still be pivotal in shaping a club's future. In a time when big money transfers dominate headlines, Pirlo's free move is a reminder that sometimes the most impactful deals are the ones that cost nothing at all.